That's somebody else? Go ahead, Dave.
You've got a situation on the commissioner's deal there where you got a Democrat that's pretty liberal. You got a Republican that's pretty conservative. You got a Republican that swings. What's wrong with that?
A Republican that swings isn't a Republican.
First of all.
That's my first point. I appreciate whoever backed me up there. At least I got somebody. But the fact is, I really feel like what we have to do, when I say Republican, I want to talk about two different grades, at least, of Republicans. One of those is that Republican that we know exactly who he is. We can tell by looking at his stripes. And we know him. We recognize him. The other Republican is the one that we're not sure of. I call those homogenized Republicans. And that is if you put them in a jug with a bunch of Democrats and you shook it up, nothing would separate. And so that's what I see wrong with that, Dave. I think as Republicans are going to have to get back to being conservatives. And conservative to me means more than a fiscally responsible budget. It means a lifestyle. It has to do with how we deal with each other. It has a lot of things. It means that we are here to preserve that which is worth saving. Conserve that which otherwise would be lost. I hope that answers it, Dave.
Very well. Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, I have one. Whenever I look at people getting federal money, they always think this is wonderful. You know, especially if it's from the stimulus package this year, which is really illegitimate money. But that's a minority opinion, I'm afraid. Most people think if you refuse federal money, you're being foolish. And obviously you're going to be of that mindset, so how are you going to change a lot of minds about how that works?
I tell you the truth, Dave, I don't particularly intend to change anybody's mind. I think there are solutions that we can use through our free enterprise system to prove to people that it works. Dave, about the oil, back to this oil situation. When Gary asked me, can you do this? I said, well, if somebody else can do it, yeah, we can do it. So we made some, and a couple weeks later I took Gary's sample of this back. And what I believe works, what convinces people is not telling them what you can do, but actually doing it. You've got to perform. If you're going to say it, you got to do it. And so what I see is the fact that if we can loosen up, if we can loosen up business. Eric Olson, when's the last time you drilled a well or was in on the drilling of a well?
A year and a half ago.
If I could give him back just the taxes he's paid on his equipment sitting in his yard, he could go do something with it constructive if he was not restricted by the permitting and the application process that will cost him another year and a half or more to get done. And then we can put people to work, and when people go to work, they will see that we don't have to depend on someone else. Dave, you're not on welfare, I'm not on welfare. Boy, I almost lied. Aristotle said the least deviation from the truth returns later 1,000 times. I'm on Social Security. So, I don't know what to say. That's close as I can get, but I guarantee you one thing, people. If I had been left alone to do my own thing, I would have made a ton of jobs, and I have, but I wouldn't need Social Security. That's a guarantee. But the fact is, when we're restricted, we cannot do for ourselves sometimes. So, Dave, I am on welfare. Excuse me.
So am I.
Is that anyone else? Everyone else? Alan, what? Alan, you had a question?
Oh, I'm just saying I have Social Security.
Oh, okay.
Carol's too young. Carol gets the phone.
This is sort of a generic question, but like say over the course of a year, what would be some typical issues that would come before the county commissioners, and how would you articulate your general approach to some of those issues?
Well, Carol, let me address something that I know personally about. We have a road issue in the county. Constantly have had a road issue in the county with private roads. The issue of public and private mixing of roads. And the county says to people that own private roads, you really got a problem because we can't help you with those roads. We can't do anything with those roads. We've heard it over and over and over again. But everyone that lives on a private road, for instance, pays property tax, of which a portion is for roads, okay? When you buy gasoline, in fact, you pay a certain portion of your gas tax goes for roads, and so on. But yesterday, this is how this thing cracks out. The reason I know, because I know from a couple different points of view. Yesterday, Wes, our company, bladed a road in a private subdivision, about a mile of it, that the county will not maintain. The guy over there in the striped shirt, Ron Grimsrud, lives close to a road. In fact, they're just down the road from you. There's a road that the county maintains 1/2 mile of a private road, but they won't maintain the other half. Now, I got to tell you something. We ran our grader up to do this road yesterday, and we spent a little extra time on it, and we worked it hard to try to make as good a road out of it, you know, to keep it as well maintained as we can. And we charged them $350. Now, if my grader had been there at the end of that road and made a pass down and a pass back on a regular basis, it would have probably cost, what, Wes, $50? It might have cost $50. And yet the county says, we can't afford to run down that road and come back. Now, we do that 3 times a year, and we charge those people a whole bunch. Now, Carol, those are the kind of issues that come up. And when I say serve people, I thought I have been mistaken before once. But I have been mistaken before when I assumed some things, and I have assumed ever since I was a kid that government and government-run projects were supposed to be for my benefit. And I believe that we have sensible solutions to some very time-consuming, aggravating problems in this county. And they can be solved so simply that it's pathetic, because that same grader that will not go 1 mile down that road and come back and make a pass there goes 15 miles to park. Anybody else?
Got time for one more, if anybody has one. See that? Judy.
What did Buchanan tell you to do with the oil?
Well, let me tell you this. He didn't tell me what to do with it, but what he asked me was, how come my friend, and he is good friends with the governor, he said, how come my good friend Brian goes around the country with a chunk of coal in one hand and a little vial in the other and says, we can make this chunk into, and if you want to go, it's on YouTube, the same thing he was talking about. He said, we can make this from this chunk of coal. He said, now how come if you can go do that in 2 weeks? He said, I've been listening to this for 4 years and I haven't seen anything. He didn't tell me what to do with it, but he did have the question. He said, I'm beginning to wonder what's going on here. Aren't we all beginning to wonder what's going on here?
Yeah.
When we can make $40 a barrel oil in Yellowstone County. That was it, I guess, huh?
All right. Thank you, Jerry. Good presentation. That's Jerry Prouse. Wow, a lot of thought-provoking stuff there. Very good presentation, thank you.